Before we begin, thank you very much to the 10th Doctor and Rose Tyler for joining the Patreon campaign. Now, I don't mind how anyone contributes, but really, like, Doctor, Rose, if you're gonna, like, stack onto one, like, it'd be cooler if you just split your accounts. So, like, 2 shout-outs, that would have been fine, too. But you know what? You do you. You're the time travelers. What am I to say what's right for you? But thank you very much for the contribution. Always appreciated. So, I said I was going to wait until all of the leaks seemingly dried up. Because, as we know, when leaks begin, it starts as a drip, and the drip keeps going, and eventually it dries out, and then I want to do my big news thing about talking about all of them. But last night, the faucet burst. So if I don't start covering some of them now, 1, it's not going to be hot and relevant by the time I talk about it, and 2, there's just going to be too many to go over all at once. So yeah, we have Studio Series 2025. Like, potentially the entirety of Studio Series 2025 leaked. We're barely starting 2024, and we already know what's happening in a toy line next year. Oh, it's crazy times to be a Transformer fan. So we're just going to go over all of these, give my thoughts, my opinions, my analysis and breakdown, etc. And yeah, let's just go in on it. And we're going to start with the easy stuff because there's going to be several package refreshes in 2025. Some of them vastly needed and some of them kind of confusing, like Perceptor. Now, this is not a bad toy, but I also don't recall this being a toy that was hard for anyone to get. I am reasonably sure this is one of those Studio Series figures that was like 2-packed in at Walmart, like cellophane together with another one, and, you know, 2 for the price of 1 bundles. I am reasonably sure this one was not a hot seller or overproduced or whatever, because I don't remember anyone having trouble getting it. So why it's getting a packaging refresh, I don't know, outside of Perceptor only has 1 repaint, and they already used it for Generation Selects. So if they're going to make more money on the mold, they just have to reuse it. Now, an important thing to note, just because a packaging refresh is in the listings does not necessarily mean it will happen. These do get canceled from time to time. There was a listing for a Cheetor that was supposed to come out as a package refresh in Legacy. Never actually happened. So this one might leave the books depending on how the year breaks down. Wouldn't be surprised. But right now that's the plan, as is a re-release of Jazz. Now at least Jazz is a more prominent character than Perceptor. The toy is more interesting. And hey, it's prone to breaking, so people are gonna need replacements. But I believe, isn't Jazz one of the ones coming out in the 5-pack with the opaque plastic? Like, I figured like that would handle most of the need for a new one. But, you know, it's whatever at this point. Again, packaging refresh, subject to change. Now, this is them, generally when it's a listing, it's Hasbro predicting which ones are going to need a re-release at some point. But sometimes it really is just, hey, this is like crazy high demand, so we need to put out a few more of them. Case in point, Rise of the Beast Voyager Optimus Prime, which confusingly came out as a Target exclusive Voyager class toy in Buzzworthy, but it will be seeing a full release in 2025. So here's your insider trading for the day. If you are just kind of like bored with the toy, or you are fine not having it for a year and rebuying it in 2025, sell it now. Because right now, the demand for this is really hot. The aftermarket on it is going to be hot, but once people figure out it's going to be out next year, oh, it'll go down. It'll go down. So, optimum time to sell is now. No pun intended. There's also a packaging refresh for Shockwave. Again, highly needed. This is another one where it's like, I'm pretty sure, like, when this first came out, I didn't have any trouble finding it. But once it left retail and once it was off the shelves, now everyone wanted it. Now everyone had to have the super, skeletal Shockwave monster-looking bot. Okay, fair enough. Cool toy. I never experienced it myself, but it does look really, really cool. So maybe I will pick it up in 2025 when it becomes readily available again. In searching for the picture for this example, I grabbed it off of Amazon, where they currently want about $160 for this toy. Now, typically Amazon sellers shoot for the moon. They're hoping to take advantage of people who don't know any better, but yeah, it's still somewhat close to the right price. It's kind of insane. One more insane than that. You want more insane? Studio Series Grimlock getting another release. This one, again, much needed. Much needed. The sealed-in box, it's somewhere like between $200 and $300. I've got one down at the shop right now that has been taken out of the box and put back in that I graded at something like $160. It's kind of insane how expensive this toy has gotten, but then again, it's an extremely good Grimlock toy. So maybe not a surprise. You would think after the G2 release and now the upcoming comic book release that the demand would die down a little bit, but, you know, those aren't the original colors, so no. No, it has not. Still a very hotly demanded toy. Still do not like the translucent gray on the chest. Still don't. So that's the packaging refresh. Those are toys we know. So let's go into toys that we don't know, like literally, because there's a few listings for Transformers 1. Specifically, there is a listing for a Sentinel Prime and a Starscream. Now, obviously, Starscream's going to play a part in a new Transformers movie. That's just how it's going to go. But Sentinel Prime is kind of the interesting name. Now, he is the predecessor of Optimus Prime, and that's supposed to be the story we're telling with Transformers 1. How Optimus Prime came to be, the war between him and Megatron, their falling out, etc. So, not a huge surprise on that one. So, we have no visuals for this movie yet. We have no idea what the designs are going to look like. If you Google to just try and find info on Transformers 1, you have a bunch of god-awful looking AI art claiming to be like production art for the movie. It all looks abysmal and terrible. Yeah, don't feed the AIs, people. I wish I had more, because this is probably the most exciting thing happening in Transformers right now, and we got no clue. We got no clue. There is one that we have a little bit of speculation on, because there's another Transformer 1 listing for B127, the Cybertronian name for Bumblebee. Now, of course, we got this toy in Studio Series for the Bumblebee movie, but this one is not listed as a packaging refresh. In fact, it is listed for the mysterious A-level series, which we're still not sure what exactly that is. Our best guess is it's some kind of similar to how like Marvel Legends will do like classic figures that are basically just reissues and fancy packaging. I wouldn't be surprised if it was close to that. I wouldn't be surprised if it was just like, you know, like here's the run of like top tier characters in this one format. But like I said, it's not a packaging refresh, which means this one is probably not going to be designed, or that means that B127 in Transformers 1 is probably going to look very different to how he actually looked in the Bumblebee movie, which is kind of interesting to me. Another one from A-level is Optimus Prime, but the letters DEV were attached to it. So this might be a Gamer Edition Devastation Optimus Prime. What's interesting is that it too is also listed as a deluxe, which means it can't be a retool or a reissue of any particular mold that currently exists, because I can't remember the last time Optimus Prime got a deluxe figure that wasn't in like Earthspark or Cyberverse. It's been a minute. He's almost always been a Voyager or larger. So now I'm really curious. So it's going to be it's going to be a completely new mold. Absolute confirmation of that. Which means A-level might not be like an all-star like reissue. It might have room for that. But it might literally just be like, here's all of our like A-list characters in different forms. And if we're getting a Gamer Edition Devastation figure that's all like super cell shaded and cool like that, I'd be down. I would be down for that. I'd love for Devastation to get any kind of love, because it genuinely is, in my opinion, the best Transformers game we ever got. Certainly the most fun I ever had with one. Even if you disagree with that, and you like the War for Cybertron games better, let's all agree, best G1 game. Can we agree on that? Because we got like 4 options, and 3 of them are abysmal. So, that's another fascinating one. Let's get some of the easy ones out of the way. As long as we're talking Gamer Edition, we do have some new names that are going to be popping in for that. A few of them are easy. Thundercracker. Thundercracker is easy. It's just going to be a repaint of Starscream, as is the Skywarp that is also listed. I'm still not happy with that Starscream mold. I've had a few people get it in hand, and apparently, like, it plays well. The look of it is just terrible. I can't get past how off-model it looks. So I'm really not happy with how, like, that. Aesthetically, it looks bad, and I can't go in for it. I might grab it if it's on sale somewhere at some point. But it seems like Studio Series Voyagers are just a nasty bit of business to find. Like, people are like, Gamer Edition Optimus Prime, one of my toys of the year last year. There's a lot of people who still can't get a hold of that thing. Like, that's another one that's probably due for a packaging refresh at some point in the future, because it's a good mold people deserve to have. But it's not just them. We do have new molds potentially coming to the series. There is a Ironhide listed. Now, every time I think about War for Cybertron Ironhide, like, for some reason my brain gets it confused with the War Within design. Like, because the War Within design also had, like, the G1 screen, like the windshield in front of his face. And it's a design I've always kind of wanted them to go back to and do just for fun. I keep thinking this is that, but it's not. It has a little bit of an overhang from his chest window, but that's it. But nevertheless, it looks like we're going to be getting Ironhide, which, not a bad pull. It is going to be listed. It is listed as a Voyager, so we are going to be getting a nice big Ironhide toy out of this. Always like to see that, which means naturally expect a Gamer Edition Ratchet at some point as well. That's a given. If one exists, so shall the other. We are also getting Autobot Warrior, which I presume is just going to be your generic grunt from the game. The ones you shot down the most. Should make a great troop builder for people who are really into their Gamer Edition figures. Don't expect too much with this. If I'm being completely blunt about this, we are most likely just going to see this as either a Sideswipe or Barricade retool. I'm not expecting this to be anything more than just like an excuse to reuse a figure. Not expecting anything new, any new tooling except maybe the head and chest. So don't anticipate anything crazy on this one. Still cool that they do. Still cool that they're doing it. Troop builders are always fun. But yeah, I'm not expecting greatness here. Now, let's get into some other listings. We'll stray away from Gamer Edition because, oh, we got some cool stuff dropping. For instance, Hatchet is finally on the board. So, while the buzzworthy Hound ended up being relegated to a multi-pack, Hatchet got promoted to full retail release. He will be joining the Studio Series lineup in 2025. Keep in mind, we found out about those toys over a year ago at this point. We still have not seen physical proof of their existence. So the fact that Hatchet had to wait, until 2025 to get a release is kind of insane. But good on Hasbro for not giving up. I mean, they did all the work on the engineering at this point. The toy's ready to go. They had to get it out somehow, or else they're just going to eat a huge loss just in the development process. So, I mean, this one, unfortunately, feels like it's not going to do well at retail because it is such an oddball figure. I don't even know how you pack this in the box, if we're being completely honest here. I'm hoping for the best. I'm sure collectors are going to love it just because it's so odd. It's a very different style of figure, and it completes your set of dreads after a long time. but it definitely doesn't strike me as one that's going to set the world on fire or sell well to kids. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it goes. At least it's actually going to come out. There is a listing for a figure called Double Punch from Rise of the Beasts. Now, if you don't know the name Double Punch, there's people who don't. That was the name of a action master from the UK, which had very interesting 90s color scheme. But the sculpt of it was based on Black Zarak, the G1 retool of Scorponok. So trail all of that back to just basically saying it's going to be a repaint of Scorponok, who I just got, and it's an okay enough figure. I mean, if you like your robotic scorpions, it's kind of cool. But I really, like, that one is just gray and purple and very much like a colorful design. I would expect this one to be more like you see on screen here, the more screen accurate, more gritty colors, you know, like the dirty greens and browns. Like, I expect that to be Double Punch. You know, something just more akin to how he looked in the movie. So, nothing terribly exciting there. Just, hey, more troop builders on the way. More things you need swarms of. Another one that is pretty obvious, but cool that we're getting official confirmation of it. There will be an Apink. Leader Class Apink, which is obviously going to be an Optimus Primal retool. Should be pretty cool. I would actually really like, not only to see that mold done up with the blades and the heavy armor and looking like that really awesome looking like war gorilla that started off that movie, but just more brown tones. I feel like switching from black to brown is going to bring out a lot more interesting detail. Or not even brown. Like, it might just be like silverback gray, but I feel like they're going to make him a brown gorilla for some reason. That's just the vibe I'm getting off of him. It's going to be an easy, obvious retool. But I'm glad they're actually going through with it, because Apink was a short-lived character. They could have easily done away with him. Glad they're not. Also, that's another mold that was kind of hard to come by. The pre-order came and went, and I never saw the Primal at retail. And I don't even think I saw online retailers get it actually in stock for any length of time. Granted, I haven't gone looking for it. Maybe it's piled up at Big Bad. I don't know. But cool that Apink is actually coming out. Here's a long overdue name I totally forgot about. Q is on the queue. This is kind of surprising, because he is a character that was named, had lines, and did have a fully designed transformation and, you know, like, toy in the original toy line. The US release got cut, but the point is, Q had a figure, and like everything you need to ensure yourself getting a Studio Series release. They waited a long time on Q, didn't they? They waited a long time on it. We literally have characters who are just conceived for the movies. Just drawn designs, imagined designs that have made it into these toy lines before Q, who was actually a name in the movies. Poor Q. Poor Q, who also got more of like a death scene than like Ironhide, and I like more respect put on his death. Weird how that went, but nope. Q's on the way. We are actually getting a Q. So no telling what that's gonna look like, but yeah, I'm sure Studio Series are gonna figure out how to make it work in plastic better than the first figure. Another fun one. There is a Movie 6 Bumblebee in the listings that, again, is not a package refresh. This is the Bumblebee Movie Bumblebee. Now, this one, oh my god. I would so love for them to actually do a screen-accurate Bumblebee. Remember, the toys that we got were actually based on when they thought he would look much more like Bayverse Bumblebee and closer to the concept Camaro that he eventually, turned into for those movies. Basically the vehicle mode you saw first in the 2007 movie. Not the case. The redesign looks way more solid, way better. I'm so much happier with how this one looked than the final product. I'm even happier that the door wings were optional on that design, because I never liked door wings on Bumblebee. Doesn't fit him. Ironically, considering, his name is B. But I'm hoping this is what I think it is, because that toy was not good. Even putting aside the accuracy aspect of it, the Volkswagen Bumblebee Movie toy is not good. It's just not. I would love a redo that's closer to how he looked in the movie, if only so the engineering was better. Also, we have an Age of Extinction Optimus Prime at the leader class on the way. They are... Now, there's always been this weird thing with, like, movie 5 toys, like movie 4 and 5, that they've kind of strayed away from doing in studio series. Like we haven't had a studio series Hound, for instance. I think Drift and, we've done some, but, like, also, we haven't had the night version of Optimus Prime. Granted, you look at that design, there's not much room for actually getting a truck out of him, so I'm assuming he's going to have plenty of backpack junk. I know there's third-party toys that have, like, crazy levels of like, engineering in order to get that to work. Hasbro doesn't have that because the budget doesn't exist at retail level to do that. But at the leader class, I'm going to assume he's just going to be a large Voyager with some incredibly complex detail in order to make this work as a Transformer with a truck mode. That's my assumption at the moment. So, cool that they're doing it. And they're actually gonna, like, feels like they're reaching into the unexplored regions of Studio Series to get some more movie characters out. I'm gonna point out, we have no listings for 2024 or 2025 Hound. So he, like, one of the characters I actually really liked in the 4th and 5th Bay movie. Still nothing. Here's a fun one. The name Widowmaker came up. Widowmaker was supposed to be Stinger. Like, the original concept for Stinger in that alt mode was going to be the robot you see on screen. And it was going to be female. We never got that. Instead, they went with the direction of Stinger basically looking like an evil version of Bumblebee, which ultimately I kind of like the idea of, like, a parallel Bumblebee. That kind of makes sense for the Bayverse, especially since Stinger was man-made. So, of course, they would want to copy Bumblebee. Widowmaker here, though, is kind of an interesting choice. Now, I'm genuinely curious, since she was supposed to have the same alt mode as Stinger. Genuinely curious if it's just going to be a rerun of the Stinger mold with a new head and some new paint to make it kind of look like the character. That's just wild speculation, but it feels like they could get away with that. Again, no real idea. No real clue. I'm guessing here. It'd be cool to see it as a brand new toy, though, because there is detail on here that I don't think they could replicate just retooling the original, like the tail. The tail would be kind of hard to do. We will see. It's probably the most interesting name that came up. But it's not the most exciting name, because there are 4 on this list that got a lot of people buzzing immediately. And that was 4 Constructicons. Studio Series 86 Constructicons in 2025. This is kind of insane. Also kind of weird they didn't save this for the 40th anniversary of the live action of the original animated movie. Just saying. But no, this is desperately needed. Now, I like the Combiner Wars. I like Combiner War Devastator. I think it's a fun toy when you think of the entire package. I will admit it has some pretty bad flaws. The engineering on some of them is kind of messy. Like the elbows there you see on Mixmaster. Figure like Long Haul was built like a sumo wrestler. It really kind of like didn't fit in with the rest of them. They didn't have their normal guns. There were some of them missing, like Scrapper here, like completely missing elbow articulation. Now, the retooling that Takara did fix a lot of this. It shored up some design elements, added some articulation to a few characters who desperately needed it, gave everyone their standard weaponry. So there is a better version of it out there, but it's still not really hitting what we want out of a set of Constructicons. These just kind of felt kind of cheap. Like, even if you look at them right now, like even this photo, they look kind of cheap, right? You know, even if you're comparing them to like Combiner Wars series stuff, they just don't look right. They don't look like they stack up. What's weird about this? What's really weird about this? There's two weird things. Weird thing number one is that Mixmaster and Scrapper are listed as Voyagers, whereas Bone Crusher and Scavenger are listed as Deluxes. So my guess here is that this is going to be handled a little bit similar to how Predaking was handled, where the legs are going to come with additional bulk to form the thighs, so not all of that engineering is like reliant on long haul, which would be a great thing, because I think you would let long haul be far closer to the other Constructicons in just size and in proportion. I don't necessarily think it's going to be built in, though. I don't think the Constructicons have room in their engineering for that. I think it's going to be separate parts that will be weapon accessories for these figures, but they're really just thighs. They're really just the thighs for the full combiner. And likewise, I think the arms and hands will end up being like extra accessory weapons for the Deluxes. What's interesting here, of course, aside from like the different size classes, you notice two missing? Yeah, you notice there's two missing. No long haul, no hook. So now we're kind of wondering what's going to be happening with them. Now, of course, if they're doing a full Devastator, it'd be great to get it all in 1 year. And splitting it up between Deluxes and Voyagers is actually going to let them get it out a lot faster. But we're still wondering what happened to hook and long haul. Now, wild speculation here. I want you to notice something. None of the listings for 2025 includes the commanders. We don't know what Studio Series Commander class is going to be for 2025. So maybe, just maybe, it's the rest of Devastator. That way you can actually get all 6 members out at the same time. And then you have the complexity that's required for Long Haul to still be a good toy on his own, but still form the pelvis and midsection for Devastator. Again, wild speculation. I'm only guessing here. But I have to believe that's the direction they might potentially go in, if only to make sure they get all of them out at the same time. Because I don't think Leader class is going to be the right place to do a 2-pack of Constructicons. I'm not sure Commander class is the right way to do it either. But if you're going to get all 6 out in the same calendar year, and if Long Haul is going to need more engineering to work, then that might be your only option. So that's me guessing for now. And that is going to be our leaks for the day. Now, these are not the only leaks out there. Of course, the Mayhem Attack Squad names have been leaked. We'll go over that. But again, I'm expecting more leaks after this. It wouldn't surprise me if we have more to come. So I'm going to wait it out. And we're going to do like a big roundup of all the rest of the leaks some other point this week. But for now, this is Studio Series 2 years from now. Kind of crazy. So, thank you very much for watching. I will see you next time.